All right, good evening and welcome to the February 17th, 2022 meeting of the Grafton, Mass. Disability Commission. I'm Roger Trahan, Chair of the Commission, and I call this meeting to order. As a preliminary matter, please permit me to confirm that all members and persons anticipated on the agenda are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Daryl Reining.
Aye.
Christy Proctor.
Aye.
Bob Berger.
Bob Berger, aye.
Catherine Dorr.
Aye.
Rob Paulsonelli.
Aye.
Trahan, aye. All right, there's 6 of us here. And all right, anticipated speakers, there are none. Introduction to remote meeting. This open meeting of Grafton's Disability Commission is being conducted remotely, consistent with the Governor Baker's executive order of March 12th, 2020, and subsequent extension of June 16, 2021, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have been advised and directed by the Commonwealth to suspend public hearings and public gatherings. And as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. Further, all members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order, which you can find posted to the town's website at www.grafton-ma.gov, allows public bodies to meet entirely remotely as long as reasonable public access is afforded so that public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment if there is any. For the meeting, the Grafton Disability Commission is convening by video conference via Zoom as reflected on our agenda, which is posted on our commission's webpage and on the town website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and that anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. All supporting materials that have been provided by members have been provided members of this body.
Connecticut 15 South toward I.
All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless I note otherwise. We are now turning to the first item on the agenda, but before doing so, permit me to cover some ground rules for effective and clear conduct of our business and to ensure accurate meeting minutes. I'm just going to skip over this portion because this, you know what, it's internal and we know how to conduct ourselves. After members have spoken, the chair will afford public comment as follows. The chair will first read public comments, questions received in advance. Actually, there are none. Public comments during the meeting will be conducted through the chat feature in Zoom. And the chair will read real-time comments and questions typed by computer participants in the chat feature, followed by real-time board/applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken in the meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. So, first item on the agenda is announcements and annual conflict of interest and open meeting law training.
In half a mile, take exit 57 on the left for Connecticut 50.
Is that you, Daryl? So annual conflict of interest and open meeting law training. Our town clerk, Candy LaValle, would have sent this to you. Actually, she sent it to me as chair. And then I forwarded it a couple of times on February 10th, and I think again a couple of days ago or yesterday. I'm not sure. Rob, was it yesterday? I don't know, this week. And
Yeah,
the deadline is April 9th. I think that's a Saturday. And just kind of read through that. It's kind of convoluted about what they're asking and how you prove that you've done what you need to do. So I've done my job in getting that out to you. The second announcement, Disability Day of Mourning. I know, Catherine, you had mentioned this at our at a recent meeting, either at the workshop or the one before. It may have been January. So Tuesday, March 1 is a Disability Day of Mourning for those who have been have lost their lives. Those with mental illness that have lost their lives through family members or anyone who's lost.
It's all disability in general. And it's specifically
disability.
focused on filicide-based deaths.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so what I ended up doing is there were a couple of websites that pertain to this and explain what this day of mourning was. And one of them expanded on any family member. So I don't know. You had mentioned, Catherine, or in the committee suggested that we may do something as a group, or I think for starters, it's important that, oh, Christy, you had a question?
Laura Deneen would like to be promoted from participant
Oh,
to
God.
panelist, please.
Oh, Laura. Hello, Laura. Oh, I just saw that Q&A.
Yeah.
Laura, you've been promoted.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to stay without my camera going because I have pink eye.
Oh, boy.
And that's not attractive. But I am
Okay,
here. Thank you.
I believe you. All right, so Laura Deneen enters at 6:41. So hope you get feeling better soon.
Thanks.
So I'm wondering though, as far as the Disability Day of Mourning, one of the things we can do very easily as a commission is for one of us, whether it's Catherine or someone else, that we agree as a commission by consensus to have Catherine or someone else maybe put together a blurb for starters and have William Blake put something on the town website or Facebook or whatever social media presence the town has to announce this. I don't know what else we would normally do. This is a couple of weeks away. So, I mean, do you think that's enough to do that? And maybe on some of the, I'm on All Things Grafton, I'm on Grafton Rise. I have my own Facebook presence that we could always, one of us could put something on there and then we could share it or something like that.
It is mostly digital anyway, especially in the last few years.
Okay.
So, yeah,
right.
that would be a good approach, I think.
All right. So, Catherine, how are your typing fingers? Do you want?
I could very easily write something up in the next few weeks. Yeah.
All right. So since it's on March 1,
yeah.
do you think you could come up with something in the next week?
Yeah.
And then email it to William Blake and,
Yeah.
and maybe just CC it to the rest of the commission?
Yeah, sure.
Is everyone okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely, and thank you, Catherine, for doing that.
Thank you, Catherine.
You
Thank
guys,
you.
I'm gonna keep my camera off also,
Okay.
and I can't seem to figure out how to get a picture on here, so I
Okay.
am whatever this person is.
Okay, that's fine.
Daryl also has pink eye, clearly.
Yes, no, I'm riding in a car and I'm black, like basically dark, so.
All right. So announcements, the 2022 Winter Paralympics, that was an announcement that was in advance of the Olympics, and I haven't watched the Olympics. So has anyone watched the Olympics, including any of the Paralympic competitions? Christy,
The Paralympics haven't started yet. They start after the Olympic
they do?
Games end. Yes.
Oh, I
Yeah,
thought
because
that
they
there was
use the
concurrent.
same facilities. So,
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
watched the women's hockey game last night and was kind of disappointed. But
Did we, what happened? We lost?
yeah, the women lost the 3-2 to
Oh, wow.
Canada. So
Okay, of course.
it's always US and Canada in the gold medal
Yeah.
game anyway. So.
All right. So thank you, Christy. So when does it actually start?
I'm Googling.
And I guess since a lot of this gets second fiddle, in what way is it going to be televised and how prominent will it be? I guess that's one of the other questions.
It will be held directly following the Winter Olympics in Beijing. There is a schedule for TV broadcasting. I'm not clicking on that link because I know it's just going to take a while, but
Okay.
it will begin on approximately March 4th, weather permitting, And they're going to
Okay.
welcome approximately 600 of the world's best Paralympic athletes.
Okay. I guess we could look that up in the meantime, and however that is advertised, one of us could always maybe post something on the website. So I could volunteer to do that, ask the, go through Mr. Blake and ask, and put a blurb together, which includes maybe some of the links or television stations that these are going to be found on. Everyone okay with that?
I am.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
thank you. All right, blurb on this to Mr. I'm thinking out loud here. On links and TV. Okay. Yes, Christy.
I have another announcement when you're ready.
Absolutely. And that's other announcements, please.
So as we know, February is Black History Month. And as
Okay.
we celebrate this month, we want to recognize the contributions of African Americans in the United States. But I want to more importantly note that there are over 5.5 million Black Americans living with a disability in the United States.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
you can always Google, the well-known celebrities who have historically have had disabilities and made a prominent contribution. But right now there are like 3.2 million African Americans with disabilities who are of working age. And I just want to highlight the realities and challenges that continue for anyone living with a disability during the pandemic, as well as systemic barriers to their success.
Okay. Thank you, Christy. Any other announcements? Okay, moving on, external correspondence. There wasn't any. A lot of that would otherwise come from through the town hall, and I haven't been to the municipal center, but each time I call the town clerk and they scoot over to our box and it's empty. So that placeholder, there's nothing. Meeting minutes, we have a couple. The regular meeting of January 20th, 22. Do I have a motion to accept those minutes?
So moved.
All
Daryl
right,
Reining.
Daryl, and do I have a second?
Laura Denine, second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Before doing so, I'm just looking at any discussion? All right, a couple of things, Christy, on the top of the fourth page of those minutes.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I'm in, I went to the wrong minutes. Hold on.
Oh, do I need to, share screen?
No, you don't have to share screen. I was in the tent. I'm sorry. Last week, I pulled those up to get ready. I apologize. Just takes a minute.
Okay,
Just takes a second. So we're going back to, not to 210, 120. There we go.
yes, 120.
Sorry, just took a click.
All right.
Loading.
All right,
Okay.
so.
Go
all right,
ahead.
that first sentence, concerns were voiced for the phrase regarding how the membership is comprised and appointed by the town administrator. The word appointed should be reporting to. So comprised and reporting to the town administrator and subject to approval by the select board. In other words, we were talking about
Yep.
our charge. And
So
so,
comprised and appointed should be stricken and replaced with,
yeah, comprised and reporting to the town administrator.
Okay,
So the
thank
words
you.
appointed by, yeah.
Yep.
And the other thing, and I think it's the only other thing, is on project updates number 6.
Yeah.
The first bullet point, Grafton Library, Roger attended the meeting held outdoors. It's a ceremony. No, it wasn't a meeting.
thank you.
All right. And that's all. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call. Daryl Reining,
I,
Wait a minute, hold on a second. Actually, you were not there. I think, right? Or were you?
I was there in January.
Oh, I was looking at the other minutes of, wait a minute, hold on a second. You were? Oh, okay.
Yeah, she
Um,
was. She was there.
All right, but then, hold on a second. Then before we vote, there was one other correction then.
Under the roll call vote, but see, Daryl missed
Oh,
the roll
oh,
call, but she
oh, you're
came
right.
in at 6:43.
That's okay,
That,
of
so
course.
she was there, yeah. So
I
it looks-
apologize. Okay,
that's
I'm
okay.
sorry. All right, by roll call, all those in favor, Darrell Reining,
I,
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
Bob Berger,
Bob Berger, aye.
Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Laura Deneen,
Laura Deneen, aye.
Rob Paulson-Ali,
Um,
Trahan, I declare the motion carried 7-0 unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is the workshop meeting of February 10th. Hold on one moment. Bear with me, I'm just kind of, I have very little space to work with. I have a piece of furniture that I call a desk. Okay. Okay. Disability workshop meeting of February 10th. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
so moved.
All right, Darrell, and do I have a second?
a second.
All right, motion made by Darrell, seconded by Rob to approve the workshop meeting minutes of February 10th. Do I have any discussion on the motion? All right, I had a couple of things here. Christy, on this one, this would need the line of who's present and absent. So, because I noticed on the
Oh,
roll,
I see. I did the roll call, but yeah, I see.
yeah,
Okay,
because in people were
forgot.
like, who's DR? Is that Dr.
Yeah.
Dre?
I can do that right now.
All right, and so, and so the incorporated by reference on the Disability Commission charge, see document for tracked changes. So, I didn't see anything incorrect about that. This document is a duplication now of what we're going to discuss in a few minutes. So what I would want to see is that the meeting minutes themselves, when we approve them, include this particular tracked changes document.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty much it.
I'll
So
add it to, well, is it part of the track changes document needs to be added to this versus what was in the packet? So I get it.
So see document for tracked changes. Okay, so the track changes is different from what was in the meeting packet?
Yes, because now we've updated it.
Oh. Okay.
Can I say something?
Or wait, yeah, please.
I don't think we don't have to include every single track change when you're changing policy. But if she has the track changes noted in the document, in the meeting minutes, then
Okay.
that's sufficient. Because
So would it-
there's a beginning and then
Right.
there'll be 2 readings and then an end.
Okay. I mean,
And the meeting minutes should reflect the changes. I mean, whatever.
so what I'm wondering is, so is it the document when we entered the meeting or when we ended the meeting?
It's when
And-
we entered the meeting is the original, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have a done document yet.
Okay. You know what, since, as I guess I'll back off from being so rigid. I think our minutes reflect a continuum of a discussion that and we've been pretty open.
Exactly.
And all of our meeting packets contain all of these documents over and over and over again. So I'm okay with not including it.
In 2 miles, take exit 17 for
Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Roger, I have a question. Should the note then be amended to reflect or reference back to the meeting minutes from the prior monthly meeting?
In other words, the track, well,
To get that original document, since that was in the prior monthly meetings packet
so we have,
or meeting
okay,
minutes, sorry, not packet, meeting minutes.
so are you saying that and help me with this, Christie, as well.
Well,
Are you saying, Rob, that the meeting packet document should then be part of these minutes?
n-
Minutes, I mean,
no, so here and you know what, let's go back to verbiage because maybe I put in the wrong words because I technically didn't take screenshots as we changed the document. I
Oh,
just
okay.
have now the finished document. So I think I wouldn't share the editing changes. I think I would share the final product because that's what,
Exactly.
yeah. So I'm going
So-
to take
so-
the word tracked out.
Oh,
Is that
okay,
okay
so-
with everyone?
yes, okay, so see
I'll say
document for
updates and changes.
Okay, so,
I'm
so is
sorry.
is there a document then that we will include or not?
I'm happy to share it, but I'd like to hear
2
others,
miles, take exit
what they think.
I don't know if it's not done, I don't think so. If it's still a work in progress, I
Right.
think it's right. Wait until it's
Um,
final.
Yeah,
And I think.
I don't
and-
think we should. I don't think we should until it's in the final form. I just don't.
And I'm okay with that, and the thing is, in the grand scheme of things, it could probably cause confusion. And the other thing is that honestly, except for literally a handful of committees, I think we're the only committee that doesn't have paid staff that puts together a meeting packet. Okay. And so if anyone had any question about transparency, they could have a field day seeing how transparent we are with all of our communications, our agendas and our meeting packets. So aside from the present and absent listing, I have no further input. Does anyone else have any input on the minutes of February 10th? All right. And so Laura and Bob were absent. All right.
Right.
So, all right. And so
So
they
the
will,
drafts as a policy, we don't include until final product.
right.
I'm just
Okay.
remembering that. Okay.
Okay. All right. So,
Right. I mean, the only time we'd include another draft is the next time you work on it.
okay. That's fine.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. So any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor by roll call. Darrell Reining,
Aye.
Christy Proctor,
Aye.
Bob Berger.
Wasn't I absent
Wasn't
on this
there.
meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can abstain.
I'm gonna abstain.
Catherine Dorr,
Aye.
Laura Denine,
Laura Denine abstain.
Rob Paulsonelli,
Aye.
Trahan, I declare the motion carried, 5 in favor, none opposed, 2 abstentions.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Disability Commission charge revisions. So Bob and Laura, did you get a chance to review the revisions whereby when we originally were speaking, we were talking about current, revision, and new? And so we've since incorporated a lot of what was the revision into our working document for the next step is essentially the right column. We're all on the same page on that?
Well, I gotta say, I have not done my homework, so I have not read it.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I think that, and I think maybe you mentioned this, Daryl, about, the first, second, and third reading. I think we're well on our way to a final product. And we don't have to land on something tonight. I will also concede, Mr. Berger, that since I haven't poured over this very recently. Okay, after Christie, you sent it to us, I read it, and then I haven't not read it since. So
Okay.
I guess for starters, let me ask everyone this, and this is what we hadn't really dug into, and it kind of got pushed by the wayside. Regarding the name of our commission, Accessibility Advisory Commission, Disability Commission, what are people's thoughts on keeping the name of the commission the same as the substances in the charge, or do we really, in keeping things consistent and in harmony with each other, if we're going to make all these changes, that we would also take the step to have the wording of the name of the commission reflect something more inclusive, more broad. Accessibility Advisory Commission, I think, is what Worcester uses. Some say Commission on Disability, some say Disability Commission. It's a hodgepodge of about 3 or 4 different names across the state. So what are people's thoughts?
This is Laura. I mean, I'll just chime in, and I was not at the meeting, apologies, but
That's
but I
okay.
think based upon, you know, the changes of the lingo within the communities, as well as what we're actually looking to do when I look at our charge.
Yep.
I mean, our biggest charge really is accessibility, right? So to me, you know, getting rid of disability and putting in its stead accessibility makes a lot of sense to me.
I like the ring to it. I mean, it's there's enough reference to the mandate in the state law that certainly, Mass Office on Disability and those references are certainly not going to be lost in what we do. And I like Accessibility Advisory Commission versus committee. I don't know what anyone else, to add to what Laura said. Any
This is
idea?
Daryl.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Laura. I think that it's more appropriate to be called to have the word accessibility in our name, and I like Accessibility Advisory Commission as well.
All right, and the word advisory really underscores that we're less of an action committee, and we're not the disability police. We advise on accessibility issues, and the word commission is seen throughout the state. I haven't referred to it as, I don't even know what the difference between a commission or a committee is, but the word commission seems to be pretty universal across the state. So, so is there a consensus that the name should be changed to Accessibility Advisory Commission for that track change?
I like it.
All right.
I agree.
I think
All
so.
right. Yeah, me too. Anyone in disagreement? All right. It's funny that, 3 times the charm, right? We were Commission on Disability, then Disability Commission, Accessibility Advisory.
You need a motion on that.
Okay.
I move that we draft change our name to the Accessibility Advisory Commission.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Is that Bob? I had my head down.
That is Bob.
Yep.
Okay. Motion made and seconded. Do I have any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the recommended name change?
Can I just clarify? I put the word draft in there because we still need to wait and make sure it gets accepted by the Board of Select.
Oh, yeah.
Select
Yes.
board.
In other words, we don't have the authority to change it. So right. So to add it to the draft. Okay. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Daryl?
Aye.
All right, Christie,
Aye.
Bob Berger,
Bob Burger, aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Laura,
Laura Denine, I.
Rob.
Aye.
Farhan, I declare the motion carried unanimously 7-0. All right, does anyone have any, not to sort of sweep this under the rug, but let me ask, what is everyone's thoughts on having Bob Berger and Laura Denine play a little catch up on this document before we sort of dive in and sort of leave them behind trying to figure this out in real time? Are we okay with that, as long as we make sure we read this close enough to the next meeting that it's fresh in our minds? Is everyone okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'm okay with that, Daryl is.
All right. Cool. Anyone? So we're all on board to move on to the next agenda item?
I think we are.
All right.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. This is going
Thank you.
smoothly. And you know what I was saying to various friends and family members, that in the grand scheme of things, looking around, we have a good working committee. Get along, get things going on. We keep each other in check. It's just, I like it. All right. I'm just gonna, mention that. It's great working with everyone. All right, so project updates and general updates, item 5. Grafton Public Library, including execution of Mass Office on Disability Grant Award documents and subsequent purchase of assistive technology. All right, so here's where I go to my email. I had emailed Beth Galloway,
Mhm.
and I had asked her, because she had sent me an email on, okay. She had sent me, Beth Galloway had sent me an email on February 11th, and also CC'd Christie.
Right.
Hope you're both well. I wanted to update you that MOD received all their signed paperwork and gave me permission to proceed. I placed an order for the hardware and will schedule training when their trainer reaches out. And what I did is I clarified that the original grant request was $50,000, and they got a grant for the hardware portion for $23,000. And I had asked, since the software portion is also needed to make all of this functional, is that purchase in motion regarding current funds or FY23 or capital budget? And she said, she replied that they've requested additional software for existing PCs. Our Max have accessibility software on board, and we're getting training. I'm assuming the hardware comes with everything we need to make the magnifiers work. So I simply replied, awesome, crossing my fingers for a smooth rollout. Thanks for the update. So that occurred, between the 11th and yesterday, actually today. So I'm just, I guess, I don't have an answer, and it's probably not important where the funds came from for whatever software they need to make their existing Macs and the new stuff compatible. I guess we'll soon find out. Christie, did you have any conversations at all with Beth or anyone or the vendor? Do you think there's anything we need to do at this point?
Nope. If they want to write a grant for next year, though, I mean, we can always just keep our ear to the ground and try to be proactive in thinking of things as the year progresses, and try to be helpful to Beth as much as possible.
Sure, right. And so one of the things too is I might just see, this may be overkill, but it would be neat for me and or someone else on the commission to sort of get trained in this, that it would be one more way for us to sort of be subject matter experts in the things that are going on in town as people look to us. I mean, not that we need to duplicate what the library staff is doing, but it would certainly be neat for one of us to be trained. Does anyone have any interest? If the training is available and they can accommodate that, is anyone here willing to go through that training?
Yep, sure. This is Laura. Sure.
Okay. All right. Okay, so I will ask Beth about training.
And possibly me,
Oh, Daryl?
yeah.
Okay. All right, I will shoot an email off to Beth Galloway to see the timing of that training and how long it would be, and if that's something that would, has a staff capacity, like what's the maximum number of people for the training and whether they do it in person or online. Hold on 1 second. Just kind of putting my papers together here for the next agenda item. All right, so that's the update there. So I'm looking forward to this. I think what's neat about this, and not that we needed to do this to secure the grant, but one of the things that people may forget is how, with the CW Mars system, how many people, especially combining the fact that we have a new library with this new technology, how many people outside of Grafton as well that this will attract when word gets out. So it'll be, it's exciting. Next item 5B, project updates, general updates, ADA self-eval and transition plan. It still hasn't come in yet, the final document. My understanding from going back and forth today with Amy Marr, who's school committee chair, is that unlike the municipal self-eval, the areas, my understanding that the final report will identify the areas that are, I guess, compliant and non-compliant in the various eval, but will not include a price estimate. Okay. And I guess maybe it's a coin toss either way, with prices fluctuating so greatly in an inflationary environment. It's possible that a lot of those estimates could very quickly be obsolete. So, sometimes we find out how far off we were in guesstimates when the bids go out. So that should hopefully, we were anticipating that it would be around now or at the end of January, but I'm hoping that eval document will be with us soon. And as soon as it's comes in, Jay Cummings had said that he would send it off to me and I would subsequently share it with you. Next item 5B2. Okay. I put a whole bunch of documents in here, was all the stuff that was given to me as part of the CPA CPC packet. So CPA CPC Community Preservation Act / Community Preservation Committee funding for 280 South Grafton Elementary School playground and surrounding areas. What this does is, absent any detail which may be put forth regarding the pending document for the the self-eval, there are deadlines that are very quickly approaching, including either a meeting or a public hearing next week, that any applicants for community preservation funds have to have their initial documents and final documents presented by a deadline. And that deadline is, for my understanding, is a community preservation committee for next Thursday, I think. It's the exact same wording as the past 2 years Mass Office on Disability grant requests. It's simply putting this request and asking for the Community Preservation Act through the Community Preservation Committee, different funding source. So we're all familiar with that. And if further details come in between now and then, we could certainly put our weight behind that. What I am looking to do tonight, what they're requesting is, in a similar way to the last 2 years MOD grant applications, that we support this generally in the same way that we supported this through the different funding source through MOD. So anyone have any comments about the document and the materials that were presented? And I'll say that I think this may be the first time a school project would be requested by community preservation, but it doesn't always have to be municipal. We've seen the Cisco homestead for the Hassan-Messet, the homestead on Brigham Hill. We've seen Grafton Historical Society, which is not a town entity, receive community preservation funds. So this would be a first, I think, for the school through this funding mechanism. And I've come up with a possible motion, and I'm going to just throw this out at you. I'm not going to ask Christy to try to transcribe it, but let me ask how this sounds. All right. And all right, I move that the Disability Commission support the school department request for $280,000 in CPA funding for accessibility improvements at South Grafton Elementary School playground and surrounding areas, and to authorize the chair to draft a letter of endorsement to the school committee chair and superintendent as co-applicants, and copy the Community Preservation Committee and town administrator. I'm not exactly sure who it should be addressed to. I originally had that as being addressed to the Community Preservation Committee and CCing the school, but it's Amy Marr as the school committee chair, and then the second name is Jay Cummings as they're co-applicants, okay, on this document. So I'm thinking that since they're the ones submitting their proof of, support and everything like that, that it would make sense to have it go to both of them, Amy Marr and Jay Cummings as co-applicants, and copying the Community Preservation Committee chair and town administrator. Anyone have any comments on that wording or the authorization for a letter or supporting this in general? This would be at Maytown meeting.
Daryl here. I do think we should support it.
Yep.
And Amy, Marr, and Jay are co-authoring the letters on behalf of the school committee.
Yep.
So I don't see, I guess you could write our letter only to Amy, Marr, and Jay, but really we're supporting the school committee.
Okay.
In their request, but I don't know if anyone thinks any different. I don't know.
Yeah, the thing about it is that whether, maybe it's overkill to add CPC and town administrator, but I think that since the town administrator is
No, we have
involved.
to add those two. I just didn't think it only had to go specifically to Amy, Marr, and Jay.
Okay.
Only because they're doing it on behalf of the whole school committee. They're not
Okay.
singularly doing it. Right? Am I wrong?
No, right. In other words, they're doing it on behalf of the district, and the school
Yeah.
committee and district are co-applicants, and they're not individually putting this forth. They're just representing their respective
Yeah.
committee and administration. So are you
Right.
saying that, it should,
It should go to the school committee, it should go to the town administrator and the CPC.
so,
Would the town
Could I add-
administrator be CC'd or?
right, who would it go to and who would be CC'd?
Whoever they're applying to, it goes to, right? Because we're supporting the school committee,
Yep.
and then you would CC the school committee and the town administrator, right?
And the
The school
superintendent,
district?
And the superintendent.
So who's it being addressed to?
CPC.
CPC.
Okay, so address
We're
to,
writing to support the school committee.
So I don't know if technically it's a school committee request or the district or both. Or they're one and the same.
Well, they're one and the same. Right?
Yeah.
If Amy and Jay are doing it,
All right,
they're
so
not
the,
different. The school committee's asking for this money because they don't have it in their budget.
okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and they oversee, yeah, as an executive board. So it would be moved that the Disability Commission support the school committee request for 280 in CPA funding for accessibility, and to authorize the chair to draft a letter of endorsement to the Community Preservation Committee
I put a letter of support, but you want a letter of endorsement?
or a letter of support.
Yeah.
It can be a letter of support. So do you want me to dictate this and you type?
I think I pretty much got it.
Do you?
Roger
Could you?
Hand move the commission support, the Disability Commission support the school department's request for CPC funding and ask the chair of the Disability Commission to draft a letter of endorsement / support for the school committee's request for funding addressed to the CPC and CCing the town administration, school committee, and school superintendent. No
So,
one
but
has
we-
seconded as of at this
But
moment.
we would need to, normally the chair doesn't make a motion, but there's nothing against it. So I guess, but we need to include the accessibility improvement somewhere in there for accessibility improvements at South Grafton Elementary School, playground and surrounding areas, something like that, that identifies
Why? Our purpose, right?
accessibility improvements at South Grafton Elementary School, playground and surrounding area, because it encompasses some paved areas that are trip hazards and
Or South Grafton Playground or South Grafton Elementary School?
South Grafton Elementary School playground and surrounding area. It's the play
Okay,
structure
got it.
itself, but it's also paving.
Got it.
All right, and to authorize me to draft the letter. So who's the letter going to and who's it CC'd? CPC chair?
It's going to the CPC. And then your CCs will be the town administrator,
Yeah,
school committee, Amy Marr, school superintendent, Jay Cummings.
okay. All right, so either separately or when you send us the draft tonight, I'll use that language that you're typing. I haven't written
I
it
think I
down.
got it.
All right, awesome. You are a whiz.
I like to type.
Yeah, I'm all typed out by the end of the day. So,
Who wants to second this then?
all right, so, all right, Roger, motion.
Second,
All
Daryl,
right,
Thank you,
all
Daryl.
right. All right, second, Daryl. All right, motion made and seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor by roll call. Daryl,
Reining,
Christie,
Christie, I.
Bob,
Bob Burger, aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Laura,
Laura Denine, I.
Rob.
Rob, aye.
All right, and before I say aye, does that include $280,000 amount?
Yep.
Okay,
I
good.
put it in the motion.
Thank you, Trahan. I declare the motion carried unanimously, 7-0. Okay. Next, 5B, no, 5C. All right, and this is a placeholder from, I tried giving you a holler, Bob, but did you get to speak with Evan regarding the Eagle Trail and what, and this kind of carries over not only to Bob, but Christie's comments about parking and the library grant, they kind of can't be divorced from one another as far as the accessibility aspects. Bob maybe speaking to whether a building permit needed to be pulled or the accessibility features. Has that been tabled? Is that something you spoke with Evan about recently?
Yeah, we can't discuss any of this with Evan right now. He's in the middle of budget season.
Okay,
So until he's out of budget, I can't
Okay.
approach him on this.
okay.
But it is on my radar.
All
I
right.
don't know. I really don't know what's going on with the trail and using the parking lot. And I heard something that we can't use the parking lot. I don't really remember the content of.
Christie could fill
Yeah,
us in.
it's in the grant stipulations from the Mass Library Association or whatever
Right.
it is. Yeah.
So this all has to come to a head, and it's probably
Yeah.
we're probably gonna get there after the budget season. We'll have to have a discussion.
What I don't, and I'm okay with that. What I don't want to have happen is there be this sort of informal, or even formal rolling out grand opening of this inaccessible space that already someone had highway put a sign up. Someone had to give that directive. So there's signage. I understand there's some wetlands issue in various places. But what I don't want to have happen is say, all right, here's the space, and now we'll tackle it at some other time. The irony here is that we're trying to whittle away at the self-eval concurrent with having created new inaccessible space. So it's an oddity, and I don't want the community to somehow wholeheartedly accept this area without we've kind of kept hush hush about, I mean, yeah, we've discussed it in open meeting and we've exchanged emails back and forth, but the community as a whole, from a media standpoint, from social media and other news sources, has advertised this space as something that's good for the community. Yes, I love the fact that there are additional recreational opportunities, but we need to speak of firm and stable and things like that. We can't ignore that piece. So, I just don't want somehow us to be faced with a situation where this is sort of advertised as open for business and then tackling it after the fact. I want to get in front of this. Yeah,
Can I ask a question
yeah,
or
Daryl.
make a comment?
Yeah, please.
I agree with you, Roger, and I'm a little surprised about, I guess, Bob Berger's statement that you can't talk to Evan during budget season, because that's going to last until May. And my analogy is, can you imagine if Jay Cummings didn't talk to people or run his district during budget season? I mean, I don't understand why no one can talk to Evan during budget season.
It's a good question. Bob, do you have an answer? I can't hear you.
It's not that I can't talk to him, but he's in the middle of pulling the budget together. I mean, it's not going to be until we vote on the budget, but right now, for this week and probably next week, he is meeting with department heads and he's throwing the budget together. If this committee wants me to make an appointment with Evan to talk about it, I'll make an appointment with Evan to talk about it. Or Roger, you can make an appointment to talk to him about it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I could shoot him an email. You know, the thing is, what I don't want to find out is that if he's too busy to really tackle this, but then find out that he's not too busy to roll out this sort of grand opening. You know, I've said kind of tongue in cheek that I'll probably be the least popular guy in town to sort of, you know, put forth the idea that we would squash an Eagle Scout project, but civics is part of Eagle Scouts, okay? And that you just don't go chopping up woods in a hillbilly basis and then call it a day and say that you don't have rules to go by regarding accessibility, wetlands, building permit. And so, you know, this was, no one called the select board on this. And, you know, again, we're an advisory committee, but, you know, if this had been any other group or any other tenure of select board members, it would have been holy hell. Okay. And, but it was weird how it got rolled out in September, that the whole volunteer aspect of creating a space that really needed more formal planning. regarding accessibility. That's about it. So if everyone's okay with me shooting Evan an email, basically outlining the timeline and what action items, he plans on before opening this up for business, including signage. If everyone's okay with that, I'll proceed in that direction. But
Well, I have another suggestion.
sure.
On either this select board meeting or maybe the next select board meeting, why don't you ask for an audience in front of the
Okay.
select board?
Okay.
There is public comment,
Right.
but maybe you could get on the agenda, because if you're on the agenda, then it could be an open discussion.
Sure.
Or maybe you can even pose a joint meeting so we
Mhm.
all can sit, either I'd rather do it by Zoom.
Right.
We can do a hybrid meeting if
Right.
they put you on the agenda. And if
Right.
they don't, then you could go right in front of them on public input. And then you could voice your concerns. But if you're on public input, the conversation can only go one way.
Right. Right. Exactly. And the thing is that I think the easiest thing for me to do right now is I think it would be kind of overkill to expect that there should be a joint meeting regarding this one issue. If everyone's okay with me just following up on with Evan on what his plan is, because we did exchange emails and what the plan is and time frame and action items to address this space before it's open for public use, or at least advertised as open for public use. I'm kind of shocked that the
I'd like
signage
to
is put
see
up
us
there.
do this before the mothers with kids in recumbent wheelchairs, mobility impairments,
Yeah.
do a photo trying to do this, and then it becomes a big media circus to control.
Yeah. Agree.
Because there's
Christine,
talk
agree.
of a vigil, there's talk of a candlelight vigil at this spot. People are very on the ground. You're not hearing a lot about it, but there's some grassroots people who are not happy with this.
Oh, I did not know that. Please share without sharing names. I think it's important for us to for you to quickly touch base on that I did not know that there was some grassroots.
Just takes 2 photos and a little snip, and it goes on to Facebook. And
Okay.
mothers are not happy.
Okay.
Mothers of kids with disabilities in town.
Yeah,
with mobility impairments.
I don't think it's a bad idea to shoot Evan an email.
Oh,
But
as
I
soon as
also think-
possible, but when the weather gets nice.
But I also think, Mr. Chair, it's not a bad idea to get in front of the select board too.
Okay.
Go
Yeah.
both
I
paths.
agree.
Okay. So asked to be put on the first meeting in March?
Yeah, this meeting, we're done.
All right.
February's done.
All right. All right. And I don't think I need to mention every talking point, but to speak to it generally. Let me ask you, Bob, when we speak of building permits, oftentimes a layperson like me who's not familiar with all the technical aspects of buildings and things, my mind goes to structures and things that are made of building materials. And normally, what would have been needed if the select board back in September had said, you know what is the formal process that we should go through to clear a space or something like that? Like, what would someone have had to pull a building permit? Like, would the town pull a building permit
No,
to clear trees? How does
No.
that work?
no,
Okay.
no. But you have recreation that is making the parks more handicap accessible.
Right.
You have Airport Park, Ferry Street Park,
Right.
and there's a lot of grading issues which really don't take a building permit. But the process would be recreation will hire an architect. The architect will draw up plans on what has to happen to that site to make it handicap accessible.
Uh-huh.
No building permit, but you have the oversight of an architect that says you have to have a slope and you can't have just this crushed stone. It has to be some sort of, hard packed surface.
Right.
And that's the oversight. So it's not the building inspector, it's the owner of the property's responsibility to get a responsible party in there that knows how to perform that.
Okay,
And I think that's what was probably missing with this volunteer group.
right. I think everyone meant well, but it got rolled out so, it got rolled out seemingly so quickly that, everyone, I think everyone had good intentions, but I think it got rolled out so quickly on a volunteer effort that there were certain things that were not taken into consideration, including wetlands and proper layout and planning and, firm and stable surface. So,
Well, Mr. Chair, it's the same as Wheeler Road. I mean,
Okay.
Wheeler Road had the problem with the accessibility at
Right.
that. And DPW came in and threw some rocks in there to try to stabilize the site. And then the
Right.
whole project blew up.
right.
So if you don't have proper planning at the beginning, then you're just chasing your tail through the entire project.
Right, right. I mean, honestly, if it, you know what, I
Mhm.
think it is really up to the town to prove that this is accessible before it's open for business. And you know what? A couple of well-placed evergreens at the trailhead and a removal of the sign and the removal of that rock cage and berm with the earth over it would sort of put the kibosh on this until they can somehow come up with a plan as to what they need to do to make it accessible versus everyone starting to use it. Not everyone that can walk, and not everyone can walk, use it. And there isn't even a curb cut. I mean, and what's interesting at that point, the curbing is almost a foot high. It's exceptionally high curbing. So even for someone who's used to stepping up onto a sidewalk where there isn't a curb cut, it's like twice as high as any other curb cut I've seen. So you not only don't have a curb cut, you don't have accessible parking, you don't have an accessible route. You just everything about that whole space is inaccessible. And so, all right, I will ask to be put on the select board's first meeting in March for some talking points and really, open up the floor to actually wouldn't be opening up the floor. It's the public comment section. So it's a one-way conversation. Is that
That's if you're not on the agenda. If you're not on the agenda and you're just talking
Okay.
under
Right.
public comment, then
Okay,
you're
right.
just talking and you can't get any input. So you'd really want to try to talk to the chair and get on the agenda.
Okay. All right. Anyone have any parameters regarding the talking points? I mean, curb cut, firm and stable, signage. And
Well,
then
Mr. Chair, what I would do is I would keep it as simple as possible.
right,
I wouldn't go into the details. I
right,
would just go into, this is not an accessible, there's no accessible route. The accessibility is a little bit poor, and we need an action plan before you open it to the public. I mean, I think that's all you want to say right now, because if you start getting into it, myself as a building inspector, I don't design, I
Right.
only approve or deny.
okay,
So, as the accessible
Mhm.
commission that we are, or the disability commission, we just want to say, this is not accessible.
okay,
And then we leave it at that. And now there's an action plan that they have to come up with, because we're
Right.
only advising them.
okay.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I wouldn't even say a little, just, what Bob just said was like, it's a little bit not, it's not accessible at all to, a group of people. So
Right.
just to be very, very clear, it's not just, a small, it's a large group of people. So yeah, I would just be really, really clear about that. That we're happy to talk through it and talk about it if they need our input. But to me, what this is doing is it's giving warning that they are not following ADA guidelines on this, right? So we're giving a warning, meaning warning in writing, hey, by the way, we know about this, this is happening, we're gonna have issues with it, but I'll be clear about that.
Are we unwittingly stonewalled by our current charge that we report to the select board through the town administrator?
I don't think
No.
so.
No, I don't think
Nope,
so.
nope, 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 no.
Okay,
I can say that very firmly.
okay,
And Roger, what you also want to put in your statement is the towns opening themselves up for liability.
yeah, let me ask you
You wanna
By
this.
get
not
those
being
words- you wanna
compliant.
get those
A hundred
words in.
percent, Bob,
Right.
100%. I mean, that's the whole point of, like, you have to be very clear in that letter. And this is laying the groundwork for FYI, town. This is gonna be a huge issue if we don't do something about it.
So this wouldn't be a letter. This would just be me just briefly stating some talking points in a meeting.
I would
Right, but
follow
you're
up.
gonna write you said
Yeah.
you were gonna write an email to Evan.
Okay, yeah,
So that when you're talking about, so this day and age, an email can be the same, is looked at as the same as a letter.
sure,
So email, letter, same thing, but you should be definitely pointing out, within the email, what you want to talk about. And that starts the paper trail.
okay. All right. Let me ask you this. Would this be something that we would want to have Mike Kennedy present at?
No,
No?
that would be
Okay.
too,
In your face?
yeah, it would.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
But that's just my opinion.
Right.
Just
I
one
mean,
out
I've
of-
spoken with Mike about this and he says, keep me in the loop. He goes,
Right.
because this is something that really shouldn't be happening, that we're trying to whittle away at our inventory of inaccessible areas, not growing it. So, all right. So email to the select board chair, CCing Evan?
No, I think it would
To
be Evan. I think it would
CCing
be Evan and then CC the chair.
Okay. And
Right.
request,
I agree.
okay. Okay. All right. Now, mind you, there's a possibility that I might get turned down on the request. They have been, there could be an opinion that this could be sort of addressed outside of meetings, but I think it needs to be put forth in a public.
And Mr. Chair, that's when you would go in just for public comment. Just to get it out there. That we're
Right.
doing everything we can do.
Right.
You don't
Okay.
say, I'm here on public comment because they wouldn't
Right.
put me on the agenda, because I don't think that would be a nice thing to say.
No,
But you would put it out there on you would read your email, basically. That's how I think you're gonna be formatting your email.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, because regardless, if they don't, you're still putting forth notification in your email. So if they choose not to, it's still documented, which they have to document your email, right? So
Right.
it'll still be documented that you're giving notice.
Okay.
Right,
This is all
but
good.
right, but what I'm saying is if he doesn't get on the agenda, then he just goes to the select board meeting and he puts his comments in under public comment.
Right, without throwing anyone under the bus.
That's right.
Right.
Yep, yep. And even
Yeah.
if you don't do that, Roger, even if you don't do that, your email alone is going into, it'll still be documented that you sent this email. It's still a notice to them.
Right.
Right,
So
and
that's
it's
just-
correspondence. It
Right,
should go
that's
in
just how
under
it works.
correspondence.
Right. That's just how it works.
And the other thing I want to make sure that everyone is in any of the community who would otherwise watch, no one watches our meetings, right? But is that the Eagle Scout candidate and her family, in my opinion, are no longer a party, or probably have never been a formal party to this project. This is town on land. It's the volunteer work has allegedly been completed, and that I didn't invite the family to this meeting tonight or put them on notice. it's really up to them to be communicating with the select board at this point. That they really, in my opinion, are not a party to that. Is everyone on board with that?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
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 all right. All right, cool. All right, then I will get something drafted very high level. So, and then put it on back on them. All right.
If you want anyone to read a draft, like if you want your vice chair to read the draft, I'll read it before you send it.
All right, thank you, Daryl.
I'm happy to look at it as well if needed, so.
All right, as long as no more than 3 of us are looking at it, we can't have any serial review that would constitute a quorum, that's all.
Well, you would have to send it to us each separately if you want us to do any edits. So that
Right.
they're separate edits.
Right, but it would not include more than 3 in total of us to do that.
Right. Well,
Yep.
me, you, and Laura are 3. So
Yep, that's
That's
right. All right. All right, thank you for that support. And all
Do we
right,
have to
next,
make a motion to do this for
I guess.
Roger?
Sure.
No? Okay, thank you.
Oh, no?
No,
All right. Yeah, I mean, there isn't any specific wording. It's just, to generally speak to the items we've talked about regarding accessible route, and what the action plan would be, to put forth before opening this space to the public. And we would leave out any reference to library parking and grant. I'm sure that they're aware of that. So, all right. So next item, old business, Grafton Master Plan Disability Commission input. David
and
Robbins.
Roger, I have to sign off. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so
And can
Daryl
you
is-
just can you text me when, or if you're gonna do that letter this week? I
Yep.
am obviously gonna be in Marco Island, but I can look at my email. So
Okay.
give me a heads up. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. So Daryl leaves at 7:47. All right. All right. All right. Just prior to old business. All right. Grafton Master Plan, David Robbins. Is he the planning board chair?
He is.
All right. He had sent out to all department heads and committees and such. What they did is they identified what they thought as stakeholders first on the various items. I have not looked at that document. At some point, sooner rather than later, I think it would be beneficial for our commission to come up with a brief statement that kind of in a roundabout way acknowledges that nearly all of these projects and plans would likely have an accessibility component to them without getting into detail, and to keep open lines of communication. It was a 200-page document, 150 pages. We could never anticipate everything or sort of guide someone in a proactive manner. I mean, there's requirements, there's 521 CMR, there's all sorts of, ADA. When you're building things or you're doing improvements that they need to adhere to, that whoever designs or builds or improves areas would certainly need to take accessibility into consideration. But David was requesting some sort of formal input or feedback from us. And I guess their expectation would be that it was only on the one area or 2 areas that they identified. I think that we're likely going to be in, I think, a better situation to acknowledge his communication formally, while at a high level saying that anytime you improve things or something like that, there's an accessibility component. Let's keep the lines of communication open. Does anyone have any thoughts on that? versus boxing ourselves in and excluding ourselves from any of these areas regarding the master plan?
I think it's a good approach, Roger. It really is. It keeps that door open and hopefully encourages everyone to remember to bring us in as they're starting up that next project or, starting discussions on it.
Right. Okay. Mr. Berger, any thoughts on sort of taking not a hands-off approach, but we'll hear when there's action or design or action or building or improvements that are going to be put forth regarding any one of these areas. And then we could always just, add our input as these things progress. I mean, you're necessarily going to be in the loop on some of these items, I would think.
Whenever there's a building permit,
Yeah. So
then, that's part of my job is to make sure that it complies with all the codes and the state
Right.
regulations. That's
Yeah,
that's part of my role.
right. All right. So between you and someone like Jen Anderson or, regarding the open space piece, I would think that even if we never existed as a commission, there's going to be some series of checks and balances internally. And then anything that comes up where we could maybe have some creative, proactive ideas on how to make things more accessible than just the minimum. That'd be a
Yeah,
good idea.
if you ask for more, I don't ask for more
No,
because
no,
I can't, and I'm trained not to.
sure.
And
Right.
this is a perfect example. What you're talking about is how things got away in the library.
Mhm.
Because just the example that I said with recreation is they had no idea on the complexity of what it takes to make something handicap accessible when it came to airport field.
Right.
And that's when we had to introduce them to an architect that will take all the components and put an action plan together, then put it out to public bid to get the right person to execute the contract.
Sure.
That was the downfall in the library.
Right. Right.
Again, I'm just repeating myself, but I think sometimes it's worth repeating yourself when
No.
we're talking about, how we can not put ourselves behind the 8 ball again.
Right. Right. No, it makes sense. And there's this, as the town continues to grow, and that will always happen, we need to be ahead of these things. So, we'll, I guess, table that and maybe come up with a blurb at our next meeting or the meeting after that. Within the next 30 to 60 days, come up with a blurb that formally acknowledges, some wording that will partner without necessarily identifying all the minutia of accessibility. So everyone on board with that?
Oh yeah, that sounds good.
All right, cool. All right,
Okay.
so we ready to move on to any other old business? I have one business item and then I'll open up the floor to anything else that someone had. This particular resident, I didn't ask her whether she was okay with divulging her name. So I will simply mention that a particular resident had, we'd gone back and forth on Messenger. And this has to do with the municipal center. Bob, I know a few meetings ago, you had shown the pictures of the ramp and the door and the improvements that were funded by that state appropriation. And so, all right, so the entrance that goes into the municipal center in the back, which would be where you go to the clerk and the food, wait a minute, I take that back. The food pantry, is it the far left or I know when I go.
It's the far left by the elevator.
Okay, all right, so far left. Okay, I thought she was talking about the middle one near the clerk's office. I was thinking of where you drop off the food. All right, and that's, all right, so on the far left, hold on a second. Okay. Okay, yeah, she did. All right. By the way, an item of interest for you, when Evan presented his capitalist, and we saw something else. All right. It's the last. Okay, so this person, she acknowledged that the entrance to the municipal center was done, nearest the elevator, she said, or get redone. It's got a ramp, but it's far from ADA compliant, to which I said, thanks for this info. In what way is it non-compliant? And then she said, no railing on the ramp, which is steep enough that it needs one. Also, I personally think the landing is too small for a wheelchair to turn safely. I believe it would also need a new door or an electronic opening mechanism. So, Bob, you had spoken to us about the improvements to this area. Are any of these areas that are pointed out regarding the grade or slope or the turn radius or the door non-compliant, as she alleges?
No, I mean, it's not a ramp. It's a sloped walkway, just like
Okay.
it's just like we put in on the senior center. On the senior
Okay.
center, on the right-hand side, you have a ramp. On the left-hand side, you have a walkway.
So if it's 20 to 1 or
If it's less than 5%, then you
Less
don't
than
need
5.
to have, you do not need to have, it's not considered a ramp. Okay.
okay,
So then you don't need the railings.
okay,
I put in my budget for new doors, and I'd like to put a button in there. And let's see if it goes through.
okay. So right now isn't an automatic opening door?
No. No,
Okay.
and you do not need an automatic opening door. That doesn't
No.
make it handicap accessible. You need a 36-inch door with less than some sort of a pull. I don't have that number off the top of my
Okay.
head.
Okay.
But I'd want to put the push button in, and I'm planning on putting a push button in. It's in the budget, and
So is it-
that's about $25,000 to replace that door.
All right. So let me ask you this: Is the turn radius enough at that point, or no?
Turn radius is fine, because we were not cited with Mike. We were cited with Mike on one of the slabs was over the percentage. I went out there with an architect and we disagree with him, and my architect confirmed that it is less than 5%.
Okay.
So it is a sloped walkway. It is not a ramp. And if
Okay.
one of the slabs was off, then I would go in front of the board in Boston and ask for a variance of
Okay.
whatever degree that was for that 1 2-foot section.
Okay. So in order to be proactive, it's desirable to have an automatic door, but you're saying it's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement. The door is not compliant. The door is too small.
Okay.
She's true. It is true on that. The door is too small because they're equal. So what we need is we need one a little bit smaller and we need the other one a little bit bigger.
Okay.
Just like we have on all the other doors. This is the only door in the municipal center that is original to 1984.
Okay. So your request, is it part of, it was a CIPC? Is it a capital request under your?
It's a capital request.
Okay. And is CIPC on board? Or have they
I don't know.
gotten to
You
that
have to ask Evan on that one because
Okay.
I give him my recommendations and then he goes with that.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. So just all
We're
right,
still
so-
on any other old business.
Yeah, any other old business? Yeah. So that was the only other one that came at me today. And
Okay.
so
So the only thing that I can add to that is I'm still waiting on the library to complete. We're still waiting on material
okay.
and checklist items.
Okay. All right, thank you, Bob.
Mhm.
All right, so any other old business? Any new business? All right. Then our next regular meeting is Thursday, March 17th. Oh, St. Patrick's Day at 6:30 PM. So Bob, if you wear green and you have a green screen behind you, you'll be invisible, right? So be careful what colors you wear that day.
And I just want to say to the board that I may have a zoning board meeting on that night. And if I
Okay.
do, then that trumps this meeting.
Yeah, we understand that. Yeah, I know that like ZBA and everything like that. Yeah, you've got your hands full.
Yeah.
Just don't hijack our meeting. No, was
No,
that
as a matter of
that was
fact,
the tone?
right. As a matter of fact, I'm donating my Zoom account if that happens again. Which
Okay,
we did use because I have a personal Zoom account. We
Oh,
did
okay.
use my Zoom account when there was a conflict, so we could keep our meeting going.
okay. Yeah, and is that what? All right. So what I was surprised at and pleasantly pleased at was that the two sections of our meeting that got interrupted, they got properly recorded. Bob DeToman crew at GCTV did a stand-up job at combining that, and none of the footage was lost for that playback on GCTV. So I was psyched that I thought we had faced disaster, that we wouldn't even be able to get on, and in doing so, that one of those, either the beginning or the latter part of the meeting, wasn't captured, and the whole thing was. So that was good. All right. So next meeting Thursday, March 17th at 6:30. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion, we adjourn.
All right, motion made by Bob to adjourn, second.
Second, Laura Janine.
All right, second, Laura. All those in favor by roll call. Christie,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Catherine,
Aye.
Laura,
Laura Janine, aye.
Rob.
Hi.
Roger, I declare the motion carried. This meeting is adjourned at 8:02 PM. See you all soon. Have a great evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.